Today's video, we're going to discuss the TOK prescribed title number 5. To what extent do you agree with the claim all models are wrong but some are useful? Discuss with the reference to mathematicians and one other area of knowledge. For what extent do you agree with the claim? So extent is one of your focus the keyword. But however, with this title, what you need to remember is this quote here. You need to know what this quote means, right? So you need to break down the quote, and then you have to understand what is meant by the quote. You need to understand what should be talking about it, right? And you need to remember that you're being asked how much you agree with it, because it says to what extent. So you need to remember that you're being asked how much you agree with it, but understanding the original meaning gives you a good perspective. So and also with this title, you need to discuss with the reference to mathematics and one other area of the knowledge. We're going to talk a little bit more about how to use the TOK subjects or AOK, which AOK you're going to use for this title, but I'm suggesting a natural science for your one other knowledge. Then let's talk about the framework, knowledge framework that you're going to use to write this essay. So you have to think in terms of perspective, method and tools, and ethics for this title. Okay, because with the perspective, right? It focuses on the importance and influence of the perspectives and context, and includes a reflection on their own perspectives and what informs them, as well as how different people or groups view or approach knowledge in different themes and area of knowledge, and includes the reflection on historical perspectives and how knowledge changes over time. And also you need to think about the method and tools element, because it focuses on exploring the method, tools, and practice that we use to produce knowledge, and includes the building of the conceptual framework and the establishment of the traditions and practices, as well as includes the consideration of the cognitive and material tools that we have available to help us in the pursuit of knowledge, right? And also how these tools have met changes as a result of technological developments. And for the ethics element, the reason why we need to use the ethics element is because it focuses on exploring ethics and the ethical considerations that have an impact on inquiry in the different themes and the area of knowledge, and includes aspects such as the relationship between facts and values, and how ethical and epistemic values are built into the quest for knowledge, and includes the questions relating to knowledge and inequality and injustice. So to write the essay about this title, make sure you think about all these three elements, right? Before even analyzing your examples. Then let's talk about the George box, right? So I just told you that you need to understand the original context before writing essay about this quote, right? So George Box is a mathematician. He wrote he said that the all models wrong, but uh, some are useful. He said that in his book called the An Accidental Statistician. And also, what you need to remember is that all models are wrong is a common aphorism in statistics. The aphorism acknowledges that statistical models always fall short of the complexities of the reality, but can still be useful. And the aphorism originally referred just to statistical models, but now sometimes for scientific models too. That's the reason why I'm asking you to use the natural science as your second AOK. Okay. Um, then let's talk about this point, right? The all models wrong and some are useful. So in 1976, this British statistician named George Box wrote this line: "All models are wrong, but some are useful." His point was that we should focus more on whether something can be applied to everyday life in a useful manner, rather than debating endlessly if an answer is correct in all cases. That is the reason why he wrote this line, right? So I'm just going to repeat it one more time. His point was that his point was that we should focus more on whether something can be applied to everyday life in a useful manner rather than debating endlessly if an answer is correct in all cases. That is the reason why he said this line, all models wrong, but some are useful. Okay, then let's talk about the introduction part for this title, right? When you're writing the TOK essay for this title, you of course have to write an introduction, right? So you're going to introduce the claim. You go by starting you should start this introduction of this title by explaining George Box's quote. All models are wrong, but some are useful. Emphasize that models are simplified reality and how this can lead to the inaccuracies, but still provide values in understanding complex systems. And then for this title, you don't have to define the key terms. There's nothing, right? And then you're going to state your thesis statement. Do you agree with it fully, partially, or do you believe that it depends on the context of or area of knowledge? So because this is a to what extent essay, so you need to identify your thesis statement. This going to be the most important part of your introduction. And then give the reader a roadmap. Clarify for the reader how you're going to explore the essay question, which AOK you're using with the mathematics. This will make it easy for the marker to know what to look for, right? So that's the reason why you have to write down a roadmap, okay? And then for the essay format, I'm going to suggest you to use the typical TOK essay format, but with the comparative analysis, okay, before conclusion. Uh, so you're still going to have an introduction, your first AOK, which will be the mathematics and claim counterclaim, AOK 2, claim counterclaim, but instead of having a mini conclusion per AOK, I'm suggesting you to use the comparative analysis, include a section where you're doing a comparative analysis between these two AOKs and go into the conclusion. Then let's talk about the AOKs itself, right? So for the TOK essay format for the mathematics, right? You're going to first this it really depends on how you set your thesis statement or thesis, right? But you first want to start with the nature of the models in mathematics. You discuss how mathematical models are openly present idealized version of the words, like you have to use a specific example. And then you also want to talk about why all models are wrong in mathematics. And then you also want to talk about the usefulness of the models in mathematics. And then you want to include like a evaluation, right? And also when you're doing this, you also have to include a counter argument, right? So you're going to consider counter arguments where models might be less useful or oversimplified, right? So this is your claim, and then this is your. So when you're doing counter claim, you're going to think about this, right? Same thing with your second AOK. We are not sure. I'm not sure what is going to be your second AOK, which one going to be your second AOK. However, when you're discussing your second AOK, and then if you wanna then for the claim you wanna discuss all this, and then with a little bit of evaluation, and for your counterclaim you also wanna talk about, you know, the what models might be less useful or oversimplified in your second AOK. Okay, and for your comparative analysis, make sure you include the comparison of the two AOKs, limitation of the models across your two AOKs, and then you also like to mention the ethical and practical considerations. Okay, for the conclusion part, you want to include a lesson or statement or position for this essay, because this is the to what extent essay, right? So you definitely like to include a lesson, statement, and position. So you're going to restate the thesis or central argument first in your conclusion, and you're going to summarize your key points. Also, you're going to broaden the context, right? And you're finally going to end with a good closing statement. And let's discuss about the examples. Okay, so for mathematics, I suggest you to use something like geometric shapes and the Euclidean geometry. That can be a good example. Statistical models, you remember that this code is actually from a statistic book, right? A book about the statistics. So it will be good to use the example from statistics. And then calculus and motions, that can be a good example too. If you're doing natural science as your second AOK, climate change models will be a good one, and the Bohr model of the atom is another good, and Newtonian mechanics will be another good example to use. Then for the human science, supply and demand models from the econ, Keynesian economic models will be another one, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and the 5-state models of grief from psychology. All these are actually covered in your IB subjects, right? And for the art, you definitely like to use something like color theory, musical skills, and then temperament. That can be a good example. Okay, so that's it for title number 5. Good luck with your TOK essay writing, and please watch my other videos in mathematics.